we could start in order to respect the time we have here. At the beginning, I would like to thank you for coming on-site event that is organized by Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection of the Republic of Serbia in cooperation with the civil society organization Belgrade Open School and with support of UNDP and UNEP. So at the beginning, I would like to give a floor to Ms. Stana Bozovic, who is the State Secretary in the Ministry, in order to welcome you. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, the era of implementation of the Paris Agreement is ahead of us, and we all need to invest additional efforts and build a partnership in create and building policy environment for its effective implementation. Serbia views the Paris Agreement as an ambitious trigger for mobilization of national government and all other stakeholders in reducing the GHG emission and adapting to climate change. Because of that, we initiated the preparation of a climate change strategy with the action plan. This document will set policy objectives for increasing climate resilience and review our NDCs in order to increase our ambition. Process of preparation will provide a platform for all stakeholders in Serbia to influence decision making and integration of climate change into other sectoral policies. Serbia has even a greater obligation under the EU accession process in order to comply with the highly demanding requirements of the EU climate and energy package framework and roadmap. That's why Serbia is putting in place new legal requirements addressing GHG emission reductions monitoring and reporting systems. This will also foster and make easier fulfillment of obligation under the UNFCCC. In parallel to this, we are trying to create mechanisms to secure effective implementation of the climate change mitigation and additional measures. This refers to both nationwide as well as local interventions and concrete actions during the Paris conference. Particular attention has been given to local climate actions contributing to national targets and goals. This approach has been recognized as one of the most effective approaches in combating climate change and putting forward new innovative approaches, including new technologies, in particular in energy efficiency and renewables. New business models will at the same time building partnership and social inclusiveness. Climate smart urban development challenge projects prepared in the collaboration with United Nations Development Program reflects and a multi-partner community to combating climate change. We will closely involve CSOs, business representatives, research and scientific community, and all others who could offer a new and innovative solution for building climate resilience in the local and the national level. This project will promote innovative and integrative approaches and new technologies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions at the local level, and will promote new business models, public-private partnership, and social inclusiveness as integrative approaches in mitigating climate change. Project combines resources of the Global Environment Facility, the newly established National Green Fund under the Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection, and other donors' contributions that are present in this area in Serbia. In compliance with this, the ministry initiated and implement a broad scope of actions in cooperation with other partners, including the UNEP and the city of Belgrade as the capital and the largest city in Serbia. With this and similar initiatives, we aim at maximizing utilization of domestic and donor resources and funding streams together with the government, local self-governments, CSOs, and other stakeholders. We offer innovative and sustainable solutions and business models for climate smart development of Serbia and its society. Ladies and gentlemen, the 22nd conference of the parties should bring a number of operational decisions and modalities for implementation of the Paris Agreement. We believe our initiatives and actions are offering a long-term sustainable model that directly contribute to that. Moreover, we believe this event is an opportunity to share our views and experience, but also to learn from each other.
Thank you, Ms. Bozovic. So, State Secretary already mentioned, and we are going in some further presentation to get additional information in regard to these initiatives. And for the beginning, I will try, as a head of unit in charge for climate change within the ministry, to present all activities in broad that we find very useful for by Paris Agreement. So, as some of you already know, but anyhow, we believe it's quite important to be mentioned that Serbia submitted its NDCs in June 2015. Among the first 10 parties to the UNFCCC, trying to show political willingness to support, as a matter of fact, the process of negotiation under the UNFCCC. We are also proud that we already in NDCs included adaptation-related issues, because we had in previous time, in the last 10 years, and even more, a large financial and economical losses due to the climate and weather events. So we, as a matter of fact, head of state sign Paris Agreement during the New York event, and we initiated the ratification process, believing that we are going to ratify Paris Agreement up to the mid-2017. Together with Paris Agreement, we initiated also a procedure for ratification of Doha Amendment, and we expect that both documents will be ratified at the national level until the mid-2017. Recognizing vulnerability and adaptation as the most important issue for sustainable development, of course, together or jointly with actions in regard to mitigation, we developed a document. As a matter of fact, we made analysis on vulnerability of agricultural sector, deep analysis, and we identified different adaptation measures in this sector. Of course, trying to also underline priorities. We put everything in one publication, which for which we tried to be quite easily reading, in a sense to be acceptable for different stakeholders. When it comes to implementation of Paris Agreement, recognizing the needs and requests under this document, we started preparation of climate change strategy and action plan in August this year, of course, with support of the European Commission. So the strategy will be developed under the and financed by one of the funds dedicated for candidate countries for the EU accession, specifically IPA 2014 programming. So what will be the content of the strategy, or what is the aim of the strategy? To try to revise NDCs that we submitted in order to be more ambitious. We are going to identify targets, emission reduction targets up to 2020, 2030, 2040, while the emission level will be also presented for every year from 2020 to 2040. Then we are going to develop long-term goals and objectives, meaning long-term strategy up to 2050. And we are going to project emission levels in 2070 based on activities, measures, and actions that will be implemented until to 2050. The strategy will also include adaptation priority sectors, of course, meaning water, agriculture, and forestry. We are going also to make analysis in a sense of mainstreaming of mitigation and adaptation. And we are going to try to calculate additional costs for health system based on vulnerability assessment and, of course, adaptation measures in this sector. So we expect that this strategy will be finalized until the end of 2018. And according to this planning, we are going to achieve the targets or the timelines that are proposed by the Paris Agreement. Based on few years or a lot of years of works in this sector or climate change in general, we find that main drivers for creation but also implementation of the strategy and policies in general in climate change fields are at the first place monitoring, reporting and verification. Why? Because still we have problems with the lack of data in the field, meaning that we cannot be 100% sure that our policies are completely sustainable. Then we found that stakeholders' involvement is the most important or key element of the process of preparation of the policies in order to have really achievable goals and the policies that are going to be implemented. And we identified, of course, local communities as very important due to the fact that the most of the actions, as a matter of fact, that needs to be realized are on the local level. And we found that the power of civil society organizations is very important and useful because those organizations could be, among us, the main tool for raising awareness at the local level. We started officially, to say like that, with this broader involvement and more efficient involvement of different stakeholders with establishment of National Climate Change Committee in November 2014, in which we have representatives of 25 institutions, mostly governmental, but also universities, etc. Currently we are in a phase of certain reorganization of the committee, and we will try to involve also civil society organization or representative of civil society organizations in this committee, taking into account that in previous we had the office, a governmental office that is in charge for work with civil society organizations, but we hadn't specific representative of such organization in the committee. When it comes to involvement of stakeholders, we have been trying to involve those in the process of preparation of the strategy. So we announced preparation of the strategy some almost 2 years ago. We already established working group for implementation of the project, and different stakeholders are involved, including representative of three different associations of climate civil society organizations. Among us, we have representative of Belgrade Open School, NGO that is luckily with us today. And we already started with presentation of the strategy or the ideas and goals of the strategy through different events, including those that are organized by civil society organization. And we invited them all the time to provide us all the information that they have and they found important for the process of preparation and the strategy as it is. So when it comes to monitoring, reporting, and verification, we are in a process of implementation of twinning projects financed through IPA 2013 for establishment of a system for monitoring mechanism regulation of the European Union, which, as a matter of fact, will ensure also a more efficient reporting to the UNFCCC. And the part of this project and activities are in connection with effort sharing decision in order to involve different sectors and to try to identify targets for and the way how to monitor, as a matter of fact, emission reduction of changes through the time. We already started preparation of the necessary legislation because we are quite convinced that without legislation you cannot push the things and press stakeholders and governmental institutions to report on their activities. And we expect that we are going to have the whole legislation needed for monitoring, reporting and verification until the 2019. So taking into account that we are following EU rules, to say like that, and that when it comes to economy-wide monitoring, reporting and verification, besides this monitoring mechanism regulation, we need to speak also about emission trading system, and recognized some few years ago that, as a matter of fact, this system and monitoring and reporting requested by it could be the most challenging. We, as a matter of fact, initiate in 2011, started in 2013, through IPA 2012, twinning projects for establishment of monitoring, reporting and verification needed for emission trading system. We are these days in a procedure, initiate as a matter of fact procedure for adoption of the legislation that is going to establish monitoring and reporting when it comes to those operators and systems that are included into ETS. We are expecting that from the beginning of next year, this will be, as a matter of fact, something that we are going to start to implement. Only the difference is when it comes to aviation that we are going to follow, as a matter of fact, a timeline that is defined and agreed by ICAO. I need also to mention that during the process of implementation of this project, we, as a matter of fact, had broad participation of stakeholders. We had in the working group also representative of industry and economy association and civil society organizations. And we organized extensive trainings and consultations with operators in order to have at the end a load that could be really implemented and understandable for operators. So what are current results when it comes to our work or ministry's work with local self-government? The capital city Belgrade developed adaptation plan through the one regional project financed and led by Germans. The part or the chapters of this adaptation plan are, of course, vulnerability assessment, but also adaptation related actions, and those in the short term, medium term, and long term. And also, of course, priorities are or were made. And we came to that, which we found is very important, that different regional agencies expressed already interest to deal in this field, not only in adaptation as a matter of fact, but to try to prepare all what is necessary based on requirements of Convent of Mayors. And we already submitted a regional project proposal from Regional Economic Development Agency for Šumadija and Pomoravlje that, as a matter of fact, covers 19 municipalities. We are looking for financial support for implementation of this project. In order to be really transparent and to share information with all stakeholders, we established a year and a half ago website, klimatske-promjene.rs. It contains in both in Serbian and English language all relevant information and actions that we have been implementing. But also we are quite open for any kind of discussion and consultation. So for all our mails are completely on disposal to exchange information. So I will finish with this, and in order to also already done or what is going on at the level of Belgrade city, I would like to give a floor to Pier Carlo that represents UNEP here today. That is going to present those activities in Belgrade city. Pier Carlo, please.
First of all, I would like to thank the Serbian government and the Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection and Stana Bozovic in person for the trust in UN Environment so far. It is a pleasure to be able to assist countries, but it's in particular a pleasure to work with Serbia on several aspects of environmental protection. And we are very happy to help Serbia being in the lead on several aspects, both worldwide, but also, and in particular, regionally. Serbia was among the first countries to submit an NDC, and is one of the first countries that is already implementing what are the targets, trying to achieve the targets, the ambitious targets that it posed in front of themselves. As the Secretary General said, this year we are moving from negotiation to implementation, and it's good to see concrete examples of implementation activities towards climate change, in particular in this case, mitigation in the city of Belgrade, which is the by far largest city in Serbia and in the region as such. Ministry of Environment, of Agriculture Protection and Agriculture and Environmental Protection of Serbia has decided to be again in the front line and decided to join two global initiatives at the same time, making Belgrade the unique example of cooperation between these two initiatives. At the COP in Paris last year, the Global Environment Facility, the GEF, has financed two projects out of the so-called extra available money, one aiming at district energy in cities and the other one aiming at building energy efficiency. And the only town worldwide where these two projects are working together is Belgrade. So Belgrade will be an example and is an example where the maximum level of mitigation is taking place by, on one side, reducing production of CO2, and on the other side, reducing consumption of energy, which leads to CO2. So this is something that we are particularly proud of being assisting Belgrade and Serbia, making it again an example for the world in this case, and also for the region as such. District energy, and in particular in the case of Belgrade, district heating, is something that was there since before I was born. I mean, the city was built with district heating, even before. Okay, but the point is that the things evolved in a certain way where the boilers, the mechanisms are far from being efficient. There is no cogeneration, and there is a very difficult lack. There is no diversification of energy sources. We were told that at certain points, Belgrade district heating consumes up to 50% of the overall national consumption of gas, just for heating the city. And it's the only energy source that the city has for heating. It produces both hot water and heating, but this is clearly not sustainable from an energy security point of view. Not only that, but also from an efficiency point of view. The boilers are 30 to 40 years old, so the efficiency that one could reach is much, there are big spaces for improvement in that. So heating with a better system and further promoting central heating in Belgrade can provide a much more efficient system, cheaper prices for the citizens, and a reduction of emission. So this is something that we are promoting through this global project, which is both supported by the Danish government and by the Global Environment Facility, by the GEF. And again, Belgrade is the only city in Eastern Europe and the only city actually in Europe that is benefiting from this initiative. We will, the building energy efficiency is the other initiative which was approved last year by the GEF. And again, Belgrade is among the cities that decided to apply, and is the only city where the two initiatives are touching upon. And the things are strictly interconnected. You cannot provide cheaper heating and disperse it in the environment, otherwise you heat the whole town rather than the buildings. And at the same time, you need to be able to monitor the efficiency of the building to correspond the tariffing system of heating with what is the actual consumption of the citizens. At the moment, the system pays on square meters rather than on actual consumption. So people have no incentive in having an energy efficiency of their building because they pay in any case the same amount, no matter how much they consume. So this is something that we are promoting at the same time with building energy efficiency. There's a huge space for improvement also on that side. There are calculations that an average square meter in the buildings of Belgrade and in the Balkans in general is around 200 megawatts per square meter, while the average standard is about 60. So there is a possible reduction to 1/3. And this brings huge improvements in energy, which can be then directed to other purposes, and obviously to a reduction of CO2 emission for these purposes. So the two projects will be simultaneously working together with the same focus area in Belgrade, with the same stakeholders, the ministry and the city at the same time, and UN Environment providing the support, the technical support. And this will be a unique opportunity for showcasing great results of Belgrade and Serbia in this matter. And this can be further replicated in all the countries and cities, main cities of the Balkans, where the situation of district heating and old communist-style buildings, which were far from efficient from a thermal point of view, can be improved. So this is something that we just had a kickoff meeting in Belgrade 2 weeks ago on 31st of October, and with participation of all relevant stakeholders, with civil society activities with the university, with the research center. It will be a beautiful and nice adventure together, and we will be happy to work with the ministry on that. So the project is clearly, the two projects are clearly together leading towards a GHG reduction. And this is something that will make, as we said, Belgrade a champion city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Piercarlo. I will just add, beside this fund that State Secretary already mentioned, which is at the national level, at the kickoff meeting, which Piercarlo, as a matter of fact, mentioned, Mayor of Belgrade City announced establishment of energy efficiency fund at the local level, meaning at the level of the city. Which shows also willingness of different governments to really invest and to try to support actions that have been or needs to be realized in the country. So when it comes to the second or the first of the main drivers, which in creation and implementation of the actions. We mentioned that the project supported financially by Jeff and implemented by UNDP is almost to start. And Miroslav Tadic from country office, UNDP country office in Serbia will present what was idea of the ministry and UNDP in general, and how we came to this project. And I will just mention that beside activities to combine and to make certain registry of all actions and different donor support that already exist in Serbia when it comes to energy efficiency, renewables, etc. So Miroslav, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Danijela, for the introduction. And of course, thanks to the State Secretary, Stana Bozovic, for partnering with us also in organization of this particular side event. UNDP has an opportunity and honor actually to be present in Serbia for many years now, and also to provide together with the aligned ministry in charge for environment to provide actually support and work on development of the national climate change policy, as well as on implementation of climate change related activities. So far it was mostly on national level, but as Danijela indicated, with this new project that we are working on together, we will be actually moving from the national scale to the local level. So basically this project that we are today, it's the name of the project is Climate Smart Urban Development Challenge. And the project will be financed by the resources of the Global Environment Facility. And the duration, the entire duration of the project is 5 years. So the main partner in the project is the Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection. But the main beneficiaries of the project will be the local self-governments. So the project, the overall value of the project is a little bit about $12 million US, of course, including co-financing resources of other partners, which I will mention throughout the presentation. So I need to say that this is a pioneering attempt, actually, in the entire region to start working on the particular challenge-based approach to climate smart development, is in particular at local level. So we are very proud that Serbia will be among the first countries in this region to have this opportunity and hopefully to integrate this kind of approach in the future planning and implementation of climate change actions. What is the brief background of the project and justification? Well, Danijela already mentioned in her presentation that Government of Serbia is strongly committed to implement climate change policy. And this particular activity is mainly driven by the EU accession process and compliance with the EU acquis in the field of climate and energy, but also it's driven by the obligations to the UNFCCC and of course the newly adopted Paris Climate Agreement. The main point that I would like to, of course, raise in the beginning is that climate change mitigation, though being one of the national priorities, not maybe viewed as primary area of concerns at local level yet, despite, of course, the benefits that development of environmentally and economically sustainable cities can bring. What we are aiming with this project is actually to create win-win opportunities so that we also address major problems and priority concerns of municipalities while at the same time producing tangible greenhouse gas emission reduction benefits. Why are we working in this way on this project? Why we are actually embarking on the pathway of innovation and then challenge-based approach is due to the fact that there is a wide and growing spectrum of new technical and systemic solutions available to tackle climate change that can improve the quality and efficiency of public services, create new business opportunities, employment opportunities, but also can contribute to climate change mitigation. The whole basic concept of innovative approach is usually questioned due to administrative, financial, or public perception barriers. Then innovators and those who could benefit out of different innovative solutions are not aware of each other, or even if they are, and if they manage to create some ideas, there are no sufficient incentives, venues, or initial resources so that those ideas could brought further to the mature projects and, of course, implemented. So the project actually has the objective to promote innovation and community engagement for climate smart urban development. And instead of how it is usually done, predefining certain technical and other solutions, we would actually open the challenge and drove the challenge for all those who could offer certain solutions, including citizens, CSOs, public and business communities, to propose innovative and creative ideas for solving climate change problems at local level. There are two main components of the project. One is the Open Data Challenge, which should actually improve the information gathering and collection of data and information sharing of Serbian municipalities. While the Open Data, by the challenge program, Climate Smart Challenge program component, will actually serve to identify, test and replicate innovative technical and systemic solution for climate smart development. The project will apply a certain stepwise approach, meaning that first we will deal with this opening up of data at municipal level. So there are already some information systems existing in different sectors that are of importance when we discuss climate change policy, like in agriculture, transport, waste management, energy. We will try to improve those information systems and somehow make them more integrative and open to the general public and those who make the decisions at local level so that they can use this data better for the climate smart purpose of climate smart planning. The other component, the challenge program, we will of course first define the challenge, define a clear challenge around specific public services that we need to improve, such as district heating, public transport, waste management, energy supply, and so on. And of course, then based on the grant and prize approach and schemes, we will support evaluation first of the ideas, and then we will move them to the second phase and guide them to the mature projects that will be further supported even in replication in those municipalities that express interest to do so. So the essence of the project is in fact to have the climate-proof public services by improved energy efficiency and usage of renewable energy, traffic flow optimization, alternative transport modes, then building automated systems for lighting, heating, air conditioning, and ventilation, and improving waste recycling, waste to energy schemes, and so on. And when we talk about the challenges, the challenge in this case is how we see it is the best fit solution for a specific city, municipality. And then, of course, we will finance, implement, and sustain the solution in those situations where particular municipalities do not have sufficient capacities or financial resources to do it on their own. When we talk about innovation, just to be clear, what do we consider about this is sometimes it's of course some new technology, but it can also be different and new utilization of already existing technological solutions. Of course, we will consider different application of ICT software solutions for data management, in particular those who involve local communities and end users. Innovation would also be referring to involving citizens and into the decision-making processes, planning and information management, such as through the ease access to information and community energy management. And of course, we will look to those solutions that can also solve certain social problems at local level, such as gender equality, marginalized groups, unemployment, and so on. But sometimes, of course, we can allow for innovations to be part of the criteria, for example, even for public procurement and purchase procedures, which is also a step ahead or something new that can be done compared to the regular or business as usual procedures. Some of the preliminary criteria for selection of the future projects would be that they have to focus on innovative, but at the same time implementable solutions. Then criteria should promote concrete, innovative solutions that can be brought to implementation quickly. And solutions must be based on the new business models, usage of the information communication technologies, and must bring what is essential behavioral shift. Briefly, just about the global environment benefits. This is a regular requirement of the GEF project, but of course is one of the main purposes. We are perceiving this through the benefits in terms of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. So throughout the project implementation period, we hope to save up to 100 kilotons of CO2 equivalents with the total overall amount of financing of the project. But if the government chooses this to be one of the best solutions to do this kind of activities at local level, in the long-term perspective up to 2030, we can even save up to 3 million tons of CO2 equivalents if this concept would be applied throughout municipalities in Serbia. The project brings new partnerships and how we see sustainability. Well, the project, besides supporting concrete actions, will support creation of enabling policy environment for climate smart planning at local level. It will link social innovations with smart urban planning policies and community engagement, creation of new green jobs, promotion of circular economy, and decentralized renewable energy generation, as well as creation of zero energy facilities and so on. There is intention, if we are successful, and I hope we will be, that this becomes an integral part of the future national grid funding scheme, as well as local environmental financing schemes. The project builds partnerships between the government, between municipal authorities, CSOs, business community, as well as the donors. Since we are also having other partners such as Swiss Cooperation Office, Swedish government, as well as the European delegation in Serbia. So we are combining the resources of other donors who are on the same track of making Serbian municipalities climate resilient and sustainable. These are the project partners that I just mentioned. We also have the private sector, we have the commercial banks. So this is also a scheme that will contribute to the upscaling of the entire project value in the future. And just to illustrate that this is possible and this can be a reality, these are some examples of partnering work between the government of Serbia and UNDP under the energy portfolio of activities. We have the projects that are ongoing on biomass market, and that in particular results in construction of 6 biomass based combined heat and power facilities in Serbia, 1 megawatt each. So this project in particular contributes to attaining the national targets of 27% of the renewable energy by 2020. And the other project also in energy field supporting energy management system in municipal level. So this is also based on the energy management information system that helps municipalities to manage energy and to report under the new legal obligations arising out of the energy efficiency law. And also we had one project which is now completed, sustainable transport in the city of Belgrade. This was pioneering attempt to create policy, but also concrete actions to make transport system more sustainable and climate low carbon actually. So this project is completed, but we hope to build upon the successful results of this particular project as well. These are some illustrations how this energy management information system, for example, works. This will be used to the great extent, hopefully, in our project, because it's a great helping tool to the municipalities, but it is very friendly to the general users, because this is how you see on this slide how we generate information from the basic data gathering, and also how we present them on the big screens, where you can monitor real-time consumption of energy, but also water. So this is now in the first phase for the public buildings, but of course it has the potential also to be utilized at the household level. So these are the screens. Some of the pilot screens are already installed, and systems are already installed in some of the public buildings at municipal level. And it's really a very, very convenient tool for managers, energy managers, but also for the general public, so that they can adjust their energy consumption, for example. And some of the pilot sites for construction of the combined heat and power facilities. There are 6 of those being constructed, though being, like I said, medium-sized maybe, they really significantly contribute to this energy mix and renewable energy targets of Serbia. And thank you for your attention. These are my contact details on the left upper corner. The website Danijela already presented, and also on biomass you can refer to the colleague on energy portfolio in UNDP office as well.
Thank you, Miroslav. And I really like to say this at the last, but not the least. We have a representative of civil society organization, Belgrade Open School, and I'm quite sure that Mirko will now underline what they see as positive and what they see as a negative in the work of the ministry in climate change field. So Mirko, feel free to say whatever you wish.
Thank you, Danijela. It's a unique opportunity to say whatever I wish about the establishment of the new climate change policy, but to be honest, it's not a problem for us from the civil society to explain how we approach to this issue anytime in Serbia. So I will wait for the presentation to start. It's quite important as we are facing the new era in the global policy development. We are facing the implementation of Paris Agreement, and actually we are entering in the fossil-free era. So the new policy and the new approach to the consumption and production of energy and new approach to climate change policy needs new governance and needs new modes of governments in order to implement such robust and ambitious climate policy. It's quite challenging, particularly for the developing countries such as Serbia and countries in democratic transition such as Serbia, which face many challenges in the practice of democratic governance. So why new modes of governance really matter for the climate policy. And what is new modes of governance? There are many definitions and many explanations. I choose one which particularly emphasizes two important things. One is that the process where decisions are adopted and being implemented on a voluntary basis, which engage actors and enable them to understand benefits, challenges of the new policy. It means that the access to information and participation is obtained in the early stage of the policy making process, when all solutions are open. I will just emphasize the fact that, as you heard, the huge energy of the decision makers should be engaged, the huge efforts of all actors in policy making will be engaged, and significant money will be invested in the transformation of the policy. This transformation needs the stronger engagement of all stakeholders, particularly those who are not who do not belong to the state administration. It means systematic involvement. It means involvement of not only of the civil society organization, but also of the business sector. It means involvement of the local communities as well, which are the main playground for the transformation of the climate and energy system in Serbia and in the same countries. Such approach means that the policy should be more proactive, not to be reactive, since, as Danijela mentioned, we face several climate disasters, and some kind of climate policy in Serbia start as reactive policy, as reaction to natural disaster and the challenges of the climate change. Such approach, the new governance approach, will provide more time for relevant actors to be prepared, to understand and to face the challenge of new policy making. As you know, as you could understand, the new policy always mean some cost for the implementation, not only measured by the financial means, but also the cost could be understood as a change of the behavior, as a change of the administrative practice, and several changing in the policy development. So that's why we need a new modes of climate governance. As the state secretary reflected in her speech, we are entering the new era of implementation of Paris Agreement. Actually, as it is emphasized by many relevant actors on the international level, we are entering era of decarbonization, and we are approaching low carbon economy, and we are approaching fossil-free future. It is not only the transformation of the technology, it is not only the transformation of the way how we produce, distribute, and consume energy, but it's also social transformation. It means that we have to pay attention on the several aspects of the policies, and decarbonization is quite cross-sectorial issue. It will influence not only climate and not only energy. It will influence environment. It will influence local development. It will influence public health and so many other aspects of the living conditions of the ordinary people. I will just refer to some very important aspects not being mentioned here. We will face the question of the just transition, of the development of the new employability mechanism. With the question will be raised: what's happened with the people working in the fossil industry? What will happen with the economy, which is still quite which still rely on the fossil fuel combustion in production of energy, as we heard also from the presentation of previous speaker. The facts on the international level show that we are going towards reducing state subsidies for the fossil industry. According to the new report of the International Energy Agency, it's almost cut down comparing to the previous. It's almost cut down to the half comparing to the previous year. So we have to approach to the to the new system and the new way of thinking about the decarbonization. On the other hand, we are facing low administrative capacity, which is emphasized by the European Union through the process of European integration and the monitoring of the process in formulation and implementation this ambitious climate policy as it's been mentioned. We are all here. I would like to refer to our task to review NDC through the climate strategy being developed in Serbia. So it will require stronger administrative capacity and stronger partnership between all actors. But we are also facing the fragile democracy and lack of public ownership over the policy. So this is the issue should be tackled in the cooperation between civil society and the government actor. Having in mind that the decarbonization is a cross-sectorial policy, stronger and better cross-sectorial cooperation, which means the vertical cooperation between the local and the regional and national level of governance, as well as horizontal between different actors in policy development, different ministries, different responsible agencies, etc. It means the better cross-sectorial cooperation, and it means the strengthening of the capacities of local communities to be much more resilient to the climate change. It also refers not only to the energy and environmental issue. It also refers to the local economy development. It refers to social dimension of the energy and the transformation, and also it considers human rights components, which should be stronger emphasized in the process of development of the framework for implementation of Paris Agreement. Just to mention some examples, such as large hydro projects and different kind of energy project. Not all renewable energy is green energy, so we have to consider the aspects of sustainability in the development of the new projects and the new approach to the policy development. What is the role of the civil society? The main task of the civil society is to make low carbon future feasible. How to make? First of all, is to advocate for ratification of the Paris Agreement in national parliament and make it a legally binding document. The other track Serbia should follow is the framework of the European integration. Serbia already has its obligation through the Stabilization and Association Agreement, which is legally binding document, which obliges Serbia to align its policy with long-term goals of the European policy, and the long-term policy of the European Union is GHG emission reduction on the very high level. The other task of the civil society is to support decarbonization and advocate for the ambitious goal in new climate strategy. I'll refer again that it's an opportunity, and it is announced that it will be the process of revision of the Serbian NDC being adopted last year. Civil society organization in Serbia already starts to advocate for the transparent and accountable process of the development of new strategy, and offer its support to the government, and offer the platform for the cooperation of different actors in the process of development of climate strategy and its action plan. Among the most important aspects of the new climate policy is to look at the local community, to engage local community, to understand what is the real needs, how to achieve the achieving of this ambitious climate goal will not be feasible without activities on the local level, without make the local problems visible, and without making potentials of the local community, particularly in the energy efficiency and the utilization of renewable energy. It is also important to go back to the establishment of the new practice and to strengthen democracy. So what kind of community we need for the transformation of the climate policy? We need democratic community. We need respect of the good governance principles, and we need to incorporate the principles of good governance in all stages of the development of policy-making development. We need to prioritize and support sustainable solutions. As I said, the approach toward renewables should be considered from the point of view of the local communities, from the point of view of their potentials and their needs, and understand how each single project influences the life of the local community. What is the social aspect? What is the health and local economy aspects of the policy development? Finally, which is quite important for future development of climate policy, is to bring Paris Agreement closer to the citizens. As it is being the part of the public discussion and discussion among interesting parties, Paris Agreement is still far away from the ordinary citizens. So the role of civil society is also to bring this document closer to citizens and enable them to understand what is the tie between the global change and the changing of the life in their local communities. It is quite important. Also, I should refer to the weaknesses of civil society. The previous point is interlinked with the question of legitimacy. Civil society need to work close with citizens and to obtain public support for its goals, because the civil society goals are sometimes quite ambitious. And in the case of Serbia, it should be mentioned that long before the Thessaloniki agenda provide opportunity for Serbia to join the European Union and to start with the preparation for the European integration, civil society were those actors who advocate for the democracy and for the European Union integration. So this is the role of the civil society, and civil society should strengthen the legitimacy and obtain public support. The global framework provides the momentum for the change. As Serbia is not a major player in the global emission playground, but Serbia is it is quite important to establish a framework for the change of the local situation, because Serbia still produces more than 70% of electricity out from the coal. So it is momentum for change. It is momentum to be utilized to transform the economy, to transform the society. It is momentum to utilize the great potential of energy efficiency, different to the many European Union countries which already improved its energy efficiency portfolio. The energy efficiency is still the first fuel and the first renewable fuel in Serbia. It is important to take care about sustainability and accountable use of renewable energy sources, particularly on the local level, and to introduce all those instruments of impact assessment to the whole projects being implemented and being developed on the local level. It means the change of the old patterns and practice. It means to behavioral change of the citizens, of the policy makers. The transformation towards more transparent and accountable governance, it's quite challenged still in the region and in Serbia. It's also important to tackle questions such as energy poverty, such as employability, and other aspects of the economic situation on the local level. Finally, the task of all of us is to provide the framework which will obtain the legitimacy for the climate policy, not the legitimacy for the certain actors of the policy. So that's the partnership between civil society, between government, and between other relevant non-state actors should mean that we all push together the ambitious carbon-free policy as a new agenda for Serbia and for all developing countries in the region. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mirko. So this passed quite smoothly and nicely. I didn't expect. With this presentation, we finished everything which we want to present here. So if there are any kind of question or comment or suggestions at the moment, please feel free to say, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Dragana Mileosnic. I'm from Climate Action Network Europe, which is the European largest NGO coalition working on climate and energy. And do you hear me? Is this on?
Yeah, no, better.
Yeah, I'll keep it a bit higher.
Great.
So I firstly really want to congratulate to the ministry for the ambitious plan that you presented for the National Climate Change Strategy. And I really hope that we will see this realizing by the end of 2018. And I think on behalf of my colleague here, Mirko from the NGOs, and on our behalf, we really want to help you out and see this becoming a reality. Now, I also appreciate that you said that Serbia is committed to the Paris Agreement, but on Monday here we heard a presentation about what Paris Agreement really means in terms of 1.5 degrees long-term goal. And we heard by the Climate Analytics, a very respected group of research and think tanks, that 1.5 degrees actually means that Europe needs to be out of coal by 2030. Now, knowing that Serbia is very reliant still on coal, this means a huge social transformation, and it will have huge consequences as well on many workers, on mining regions, and we are all also in the NGO sector very aware that this is going to be a very difficult exercise. So I'm wondering if the new strategy is going to also take this into account, and especially how are you going to measure the existing money going into fossil fuel subsidies with the ones that should go to the alternatives. So especially in energy efficiency that was presented, as well as in sustainable renewable energy. And also maybe just to add one quick comment to that is that I think, as maybe an advice from our side, from what I'm also seeing happening now in Europe, we don't have the need for innovation so much because the technology is already there, especially solar and wind. The prices have been dropping, the technology is tested, it's there, it's just about really making the most of what we have. So thank you.
Thank you, Dragana. So when it comes to the strategy, because, I'm just the head of climate change unit, administrative staff, I'm not an expert, and we lead the process. I'm quite sure that the experts will take into account everything which exists, especially from the perspective of the EU. And for which we will push, to have a document that will make deep and concrete financial cost-benefit analysis. Based on that, we are going to not only financial, but also social and other aspects will be taken into account. And based on that, we are going to make priorities. We are going to identify targets, and which we will have at the end, in which I'm quite sure, a document that could be achievable. So as the government, we just don't wish to come with something because somebody expects from us to do that, and then to end up in a situation that we cannot achieve that. At the moment, I cannot say are we going to propose and when we are going to propose, this carbon-free in energy sector, because in a case that we know that we will not need a project and the strategy preparation on that way. But in which I'm confident, and based on these few years of experience with working with Mr. Bozovic, that we really are trying to pushing the most the best options, but what will be shown as achievable, we will see. Which is also very important. We were discussing even this morning about that, is that we have a really unexpected support by the Ministry of the Energy, and also EPS as a public company, electricity production public company, and they are completely involved from the beginning in the actions, and they already announced that if there will be a need, and if scenarios shows that there is a need for a changing of energy strategy, they will do that. So let's hope it will be like that. And when it comes to innovation, yeah, I completely agree that there are technologies, but which we wish to achieve by this project, if you refer to this project or in general, to try to attract, as a matter of fact, our science and our private companies to produce. So that is the main idea. But anyhow, thank you. Thank you for all suggestions. Yes, please. I think that the gentleman was first. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for this side event. I have a comment and then a question. My comment, we realize how is important working all of us together on a national level, with international partners. This is what we are looking for. Now my question. What is missing in the Kyoto Protocol? 20 years negotiations, 22 years, and we fail to get this participation of all the parties. So how can we get what is missing in the Kyoto Protocol? Participation, implementation, funds. And then we realized that many parties who came here were not properly prepared. So do you think that is time to spend time also preparing any important meeting like the COPs? So when the people come here to represent us, not to have a different agenda in the General Assembly of the United Nations Sustainable Development and different agenda here, when there are resolutions on similar problems there, why they don't follow these resolutions? And then I like to tell me how can we influence local authorities and governments to introduce specific legislation from green economy, how to reduce pollution. It's very simple. And I think that was the message also of the last speaker on behalf of the civil society. I mean, when the humanity suffer, they introduce a special legislation. Even when there is a heavy traffic in one big city, we try to introduce legislation to protect us. So now, how can we introduce legislation in every country from green economy and to name the ones who bring pollution? Because we're talking about protecting of life. And the money we spend is more than the money we get when we give priority to some financial interests of some people. Thank you very much, and congratulations for this important side event, because it could be as an example also for many others.
Well, hard questions, as a matter of fact. Well, I completely agree that, but I will also give opportunity to Mirko to answer, but a bit later. So, well, yeah, it could be that maybe the Kyoto Protocol didn't achieve everything which were needed to be achieved, because there is a lack of participation. In our case, we found that, as a matter of fact, based on some previous examples with different strategies and actions and legislation that were prepared on some way, that participation were not broad, and we have a lack of implementation. So we learned from that that we need to have on board all relevant stakeholders and the people in general. So how to push for legislation? You know, I really don't think that there is some common answer, because, you know, there is a differences between different countries, and all these aspects needs to be taken into account. However, trying to explain that we will not have any kind, or the financial losses will be not so big compared to this which we are going to invest in order to change our way of thinking and practice, could be a good approach. And we found that, as a matter of fact, this cost-benefit analysis and explanation and analysis on additional costs or additional needs. When I say additional costs for us, there is no too many meanings if somebody say to us, if we wish to have a larger percentage of renewables in a system of electricity production or heat production, however, we need to invest, or that will cost us on such amount. We need to see compared to current investment what, as a matter of fact, that means. And we believe that those cost-benefit analysis and working with civil society and trying to raise awareness to directly show the people what are our costs and what will be our benefits could make things faster and better, even in a sense of legislation. At the end, it's not the point to push someone to prepare legislation if there is no implementation of this. So we have, and everything which we are trying to do, we, as a matter of fact, put as a goal and think about implementation, how to achieve implementation. Mirko, do you have something to add?
Thank you for your questions. First, the short answer to the question, whether is the time. I think it's not, it's too late. It's the time for the global change. You ask whether is the time and whether we'll be able to implement this ambitious global policy. If you ask me whether it's the time, I think we should start early, but however, we should use this opportunity, which is, from my point of view, quite different to the Kyoto Protocol, which obtain opportunity for some country not to be the part of the system. I hope this will be now. It will be different. And as I said, this global framework provide the framework also for the countries, for the parties of the UNFCCC to implement ambitious local policy, which will influence the local development. So that's regarding your first question, and I would like to emphasize a little bit more about your question with local authorities, which I think it's rather important. Local authorities are the part of the global changes. The fact that more than 70% of energy is spent on the level of urban communities provide the arguments for that. Is it how to obtain a space for the local authorities to develop new legislation? I think that the legislation and the legal instruments it is not the best solution if you want to implement some policy. I think it's the last instrument will be to adopt some new legislative instrument. And that's the Serbia is a good example for that. We issue legislative instruments, we published and adopt the laws, but we failed when we come to implementation. On a first of all, from the point of view of the Serbia, I think it could be the same with the similar countries. There is quite enough space through the legislative mechanism to implement local measures. There is a space to, you know, the example of the city of Belgrade, which is rarely on gas for district heating. It is not a question of the global challenge. It's a question of the smart policy development and implement, not of the innovative practice, but to understand the core mechanism of functioning of the energy production and energy consumption. When you produce the hot water by direct combustion of the fossil fuels, it means that you don't understand the time and the whole framework you live in. So that's the opportunity for the local communities not to adopt new legislation, but to implement smart and innovative. Already, as Dragana said, already developed innovative approaches to first of all to the management of the energy system. You know, in Serbia, the most of the cities and the most of the local municipalities do not know how much energy spent, do not know how much it costs. Let's do the first thing first. Let's measure what we spend. Let's measure how we spend the energy, and let's put it in a transparent way to the citizens so they could understand why the policy, why we need a change of policy.
Thank you, Mirko. I think that we have a time for one more question.
Thank you. And my name is Anna Jensen. I'm from Aarhus University and the Bocacito project. And thank you for a very interesting presentations on Serbia. It's really nice to see that you're ambitious. I have a question for you, Mirko. I can't pronounce your last name. Concerning civil society, because I think you highlighted some very, very important and significant aspects for the role of civil society and the necessity for engaging with civil society. And then my question is, how do you actually reach out broadly to the broader community? So it's not only a sort of environmental elite or energy elite that engages on the one hand, because there's a democratic aspect of that. And on the other hand, such that you get a broad embeddedness of this kind of transition, which is needed, as you said, and it's at the very, very fundamental level is needed. So say something about that, how to reach out to the broader population. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. A recent development shows that and I'm happy to hear that the first time that I heard there was a survey in local community in Serbia where the citizens marked the health and environmental problems as the first problem in their community, much more important than the problem of the financing the production of heat and the financing of the economic problem. So I know that something is changed in the mind of the people. It's quite difficult. It's quite challenging. I think that the one of the most challenging thing is how to approach the citizens, how to approach local communities, and how to engage them. In Serbia, this is the one way is the linkage, the health, environment, and climate change. Serbia was affected by the natural disasters, not only in 2014, but even before that, and even after that. Almost it's now its current situation of the climate in Serbia is that it's unpredictable. So how to approach it's a long-term process. It's not a process should be developed at once. So we need to work. We need years of work on engagement of the citizens and make the policy accessible to the citizens. I think one of the instruments should be that the civil society should use much more legal instruments for development and for improvement of public participation. Nowadays, it's the civil society is quite weak when it comes to the implementation, let's say, of the Aarhus Convention and the related legal framework. So this is the one mechanism. The other mechanism is the transparent policy. As I said, we now face the challenge of the measuring of investment in energy on the local level, of the measuring of the energy consumption of the local level. We need to develop and not to utilize some expensive new innovative instrument. There are IT tools in Serbia. More than 50% of population use Facebook. So to use new innovative IT approaches to inform citizens about the current situation, and to emphasize and to emphasize that the energy is public good, and so we need a framework which will enable citizens to know and to understand very easily, to understand what are the implications of the decision making of the decisions brought on the local and on the national level. Another aspect how to engage citizens will be the new climate strategy offer an opportunity for us to be a kind of a dreamer, to develop new and ambitious policy, not to rally upon current solutions, not to look back to the already developed strategy. And it's very good to hear that Ministry of Energy will be are motivated to adjust energy strategy if it is needed. It is needed definitely to adjust energy strategy with new climate policy.
We have one more question. It's a comment.
The mic.
You need the mic, and you need to be really fast because we need to leave a room.
Thank you for your question. Damir Mugulic from Hannibal Foundation office in Belgrade. We cover Serbia, Montenegro, and Kosovo. A comment or an additional answer to the answer that my dear colleague Mirko just gave you is that what he explained were I would say the framework conditions which we need for actual broader and democratic participation, an actual mechanism, and there we have to say that we are on this track with the current development of the climate strategy. Is there are many of them, but one which civil society or many civil society organizations are currently looking at is a so-called call for evidence, for example, which is a typical UK model. In the UK, when you develop a policy, you have a global call for evidence. So anyone that can contribute to something can tell you before you start developing a policy what they think is feasible, how it should be done, and so on. With the help of a RES Foundation, also based in Belgrade, and Belgrade Open School and Coalition 27, Environmental Coalition in Serbia, this is the model that we pushed for. And the ministry was very open to hear us out. And now we have certain stakeholders who are from the onset engaged in formulating and delivering their inputs to the new strategy in the making. So call for evidence is what I would say. Yeah.
There was another question if we have time. I think we should.
I really apologize, but okay.
Short.
Okay, short, fast and quick.
Thanks very much. I'll be as quick as I can. My name is Colin O'Hare. I'm the Deputy Head of Delegation for Ireland. And I thought that was a really good presentation. And it's a very good idea to have both sides of the table giving it. I suppose my question is, if you have a public policy and you're going to engage the role of CSOs at a very early stage, if it's something like energy efficiency in a building where you will have buy-in because the bills go down, you have cheaper heating and everyone is happy, you will get engagement and you can steer your plan well. If you have an issue like if you have the coal sector and a lot of employment and you need to manage a transition away where you can't just tell everybody you have no job, if you try to have this direction of policy by inviting the public sector, the civil societies at a very early stage to define your policy, do you find there is a challenge where people say, actually, we have jobs somewhere else for now? Or is there a challenge to that? Or have you any experience to both sides of the table? Thanks.
Yeah, of course, that is a huge challenge. And we already heard, comment that there are 100 of people that digging a coal, so, but if we offer other, possibilities, and if the government is behind that possibilities, I'm quite convinced that it could work. Not in a week, not tomorrow, but, because of that, we were speaking, I think all of us, about the process. It's a process. We do not expect, to solve all of these issues through the process of preparation of the strategy or in a year. But we really believe, I think on the both sides, that we need to provide a really important, provide analysis and the result of our analysis that are important for the life. And we all try to present that on a way to be understandable for our mothers, because otherwise it will not work, I think that even these, delays in a sense of awareness at the national level, we contribute. When I say we, I take, I mean about the ministry and, other experts, because we use a lot of these, acronyms and mitigation and adaptation, and people are confused. So those are the things that we are trying to deal with. And we are completely sure we are going to succeed, and not until the Monday, but in some longer period.
So short answer, but if you mix the card in a different way, you should ask, okay, digging the coal, it's a burden for a public budget. It's a burden for the health budget. So we should ask not only what will happen with the people are employed in the coal industry, but we ask what are the consequences of such a policy. Of course, the model to development of the just transition approach is important, and Serbia need to start talking. It's not on the agenda of the policymakers, but it should be. How to make this transformation feasible also for those who will be some kind of the losers in that transition. How to develop mechanism for the people to find the new way. It's you know, the scene is set up. We are in the quite new and different environment. The countries which continue to ignore the new environment will face many challenges, not only about employability, but many other challenges. So I think the first question should be how much digging coal costs the society, and then after the other question arose from out of that.
Thank you, Mirko. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the questions and suggestions. And you have our contact. You also could find the presentations with the contact at the chair at the entrance of the room. And feel free to contact us whenever you wish, or if you have any kind of additional questions, comments, suggestions, we will appreciate. Thank you once again. Mirko, što ti bi posebio tako fino? Što sam bio, molila se cijele noći, prati slala SMS-ove.
Ali sad sam zakazala na konferenciju.